Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Directions Magazine webinar, today sponsored by ROK Technologies. I'm Barbara Duke, Executive Webinar Producer here at Directions Magazine and your moderator for today's webinar. I'm assisted by my colleague Lynette Qualia, and if you have any problems at all with the platform, one of us should be able to assist you via your questions box on your control panel. So just a quick peek at the spatial things happening here at Directions Magazine. We are the world's leading source of news and opinion for all things location. And through our newsletters, blogs, podcasts, industry channels, and of course the webinars, we are trying to keep you posted on the latest geospatial technology trends and solutions. So we hope that you'll stop by often at directionsmag.com and get all the cool details. So welcome to folks from around the globe today. More than 250 folks around the globe registered with us today, so we're glad to have you. So for everyone that's here, do find that question pane. You can find it by clicking on the plus next to the word questions in your control panel. You're welcome to tweet and share. We hope that you'll participate in our live poll today as well as the survey. And do know that we always are recording here at Directions Magazine. And we not only will send you a link in a follow-up email, but we also keep those on our Vimeo channel as well as our main webinar page. So do visit often, even if you are here live or not. So today we want to meet Mike. He is joining us from South Carolina, I believe today is where he hails. And Mike is going to focus today on leveraging the ArcGIS platform and the cloud with your data. He is the president of ROK Technologies, and he wanted you to know, and quite frankly I did too, that they've really listened to your comments from their last presentation with us in May, and so they've returned with a deeper dive and here to give you more information. Mike, welcome. We're great to have you back with us today.
Thank you, Barbara. Again, my name is Mike Murphy. I am the president of ROK Technologies. We're a cloud-based IT infrastructure consulting and hosting company for the ArcGIS platform. We're located in Charleston, South Carolina, and we've been an Esri business partner since 1997. As Barbara said, this webinar is a follow-up to one that we did with Directions Magazine back in May. In that webinar, we talked about what the cloud is and how GIS fits in. We went over ArcGIS Online and public cloud options like Amazon EC2. We also looked at how a traditional GIS model can transition itself to the cloud. At the end of the webinar, Directions Magazine furnished us with feedback and some questions that people asked that didn't quite get answered within the allotted time. Today I'm going to take a deeper dive and share some of our story along with some of our customer successes to help you crystallize your needs and match them with the benefits of available cloud solutions for ArcGIS. Prior to 2010, ROK focused mostly on consulting and customized application development for ArcGIS users. All of our infrastructure was used solely for our own business needs, and it was located on premises in our office in Charleston, South Carolina. The cloud at the time was not yet on our radar. But in 2010, we made a business decision to become an application service provider for Esri's ArcGIS platform, and everything changed. This designation allowed us to host ArcGIS server map services for clients that may not have the ability to do so themselves. Over the last 4 years, as we continually work to improve this level of service, we have migrated almost all of our infrastructure and applications to the cloud. Our needs were definitely compelling. Our time, our budget, our ability to provide the best customer support were all being impacted by managing our systems ourselves. We knew it was time to make the move, not only for us, but for our customers who were also struggling with the same issues. I'd like to start with some recently published statistics regarding cloud growth with end-user benefits. By the end of next year, it is estimated that approximately $180 billion will be spent on end-user cloud computing. This is a staggering number, and it includes annual growth rates that continually exceed industry expectations, and there's really no reason to think that it's going to slow down anytime soon. With GIS, we at ROK see the initial resistance to the cloud has begun to subside, and we see that customers are beginning to realize its efficiencies as solutions mature. We believe that within the GIS industry there is a compelling story to tell where the benefits of the cloud are now aligning with the needs of the users. 82% of companies surveyed said that they save money by moving to the cloud. Well, how do you save money by utilizing cloud solutions? We have found that the biggest savings comes from the economy of scale. By utilizing the cloud, your GIS workloads can share server infrastructure with other organizations' computing needs. This allows cloud providers like us to optimize the hardware specifically to the needs of the GIS, which means lower costs for you. Let's face it, GIS can be a beast. It's very processor intensive. When you're running geoprocessing tasks, you are emphasizing the processing. It takes a lot of it. GIS can be a memory hog as well. We manage a lot of map services and application customizations, and we're continually optimizing for memory usage. GIS is also very hard on network and disk I/O. When you load data, you convert data, you query data, and even when you screw up data, you're putting your load on everyone else within your organization. The cloud provides the benefit of additional power where it's needed, when it's needed. I want to say one more thing about cost savings. If you can run, or if you do run your servers yourself, you're looking at upfront capital costs. We find the average cost for an enterprise GIS implementation runs about $18,000 to $25,000 in hardware costs for just a production site alone. That's not if you want to use a test site or a development site. That's for production servers. That money has to come from somewhere, and usually it's capital out of your budget that can't be used elsewhere. With managed cloud services, you not only share the workloads, but you can share the costs as well, converting capital expenditures to much lower operational costs that can actually be fixed in price over several years. 90% of IT departments saw at least one area of improvement in service by moving to the cloud. Performance, scalability, security. Within our organizations, these are issues that we deal with day in and day out as we perform our work. The differences between an on-premise GIS enterprise and a cloud-based GIS enterprise lies within the ability to see quantifiable improvements in all of these areas. Why else would we do it? When you do run your own servers, it's inevitable that they will be underutilized. We've experienced this ourselves when our servers were on premises, serving just our business needs. We needed servers big enough and powerful enough to match all of the requirements all of the time for all of the GIS tasks that we could possibly do. Our electric bill became the stuff of legend for a small company. And being a small company, we all had a part to play in feeding the beast. That meant that we weren't always doing the job we were tasked to do, and there was always security and reliability concerns. Let's say that you've invested heavily in an on-premise set of GIS servers. The first inevitable question someone is going to ask you, as they always ask us, is, what happens if the server dies? You have to face this reality honestly and realize that you may need to buy more hardware than you need in case of failure. In extreme cases, you may need to duplicate everything. Having spare hardware just lying idle around, just in case, is an expensive way to maximize uptime. Now, I added peace of mind to the slide because I believe that even with the most quantifiable advantages to the cloud, it is the one thing that we here at ROK all agree on. We sleep better at night knowing that our systems and our services, as well as yours, are managed, monitored, secured, and available 24/7. Well, it's time for our first poll question. And the question is going to be, what is your perceived compelling need to investigate ArcGIS in the cloud? Barbara, would you tell the audience how they can participate in today's poll question?
Well, it couldn't be easier. All they're going to do is just click on the choices there. We've got economic benefits, better performance, reduced administration time, security and reliability, or maybe overall peace of mind. Maybe all of those are a concern, so you can tick all the boxes or just one or two. And folks have already found the boxes and are clicking away. Excellent.
Great.
Yeah. So let's get an idea here. We'll just give them another second or two. Click fast, everyone. and share those results. It looks like running in the top are better performance and reduced administration time in the 60s, and right behind it, economic benefits and security. So thanks everybody for participating. It's great to know. Oh, Mike, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Barbary. And we're going to start to take a look at some of these items and see how that we can answer those questions for you. So let's take a look at a few various scenarios to see where your needs might fit with the benefits of the cloud. Let's say you're an IT manager for a small municipal government. Your code enforcement office has just recently purchased a centralized permitting system that has an integrated GIS module that requires an ArcGIS server map service. The map service can be cloud-based because the permitting software is capable of consuming the service for its use. Although there's a few GIS users within your organization, you do not have an enterprise deployment that allows you to publish the base map services that you need. But you're responsible for supporting the new system, so finding a low-cost and reliable alternative to building a GIS is imperative. This is where an Esri business partner with an ASP license like us can help you meet your cloud requirements. If you're able to collect the GIS data from the county GIS department, or you may be able to use what's available within your organization, you can create a map configuration file, an MXD file, and submit it to the ASP partner, where the map service can then be created and hosted to be consumed by the permitting software. This map service can be updated by submitting fresh data on a regular basis. Now, this is an example of software of a service, and although it's one of the more simple solutions in the GIS cloud basket, it has proved to be a popular, low-cost, low-maintenance, and reliable solution. Let's take it up a notch, and let's say you're a GIS coordinator, manager, or specialist for a county government organization. You've just got off the phone after a call with the IT manager at one of the local municipalities. He's called you to request a download of all your GIS data every month so that he could use it to update his brand new cloud-based map service that he is using in some new permitting software that they purchased. Well, that's good for him, but to you, now it's just one more task to add to your list. That's because you're the go-to person for all things GIS, serving multiple departments like land records, public works, planning, zoning, transportation. These departments all have their own users, concerns, and requirements that touch GIS every day. Now, your enterprise is on-premise, meaning you have to have probably up to 3 production servers, one for your web applications, one for your ArcGIS server, and one for your SQL Server database. To help leverage the investment in hardware, your IT department is also running some other databases and applications that they've snuck in from HR and finance on these servers. So they've really never been optimized for GIS. To keep all this going, you also rely on outside vendors that provide solutions specific to each department. These vendors don't always show up on site to do their work. Rather, they demand that you provide remote access to the servers so that they can get in there at night and tweak things. And to top it all off, the vendor's applications haven't been approved at version 10.1 or 10.2 of ArcGIS, so you may be suffering from version lock because you maintain the licensing on all the user desktops as well as the servers. And beyond all of this, now everybody wants all of this to run on their iPhone. This is descriptive of more than a few organizations that we work with. So let's talk about the path that we've walked with them to a complete cloud solution. And let's start again with software as service. The evolution of the enterprise to the cloud usually starts with data access and delivery. You've been creating and updating some great content in each of your departments, and you want to share it within the organization and the public. GIS web applications have been around since the dawn of time, but what makes these such interesting times that we live in today is that now we can focus on mobile first rather than web browser only. The consumerization of geo-enabled apps has really made it the norm to expect GIS data delivery to any device, anytime, anywhere. Here at ROK, we were heavily invested in Adobe's framework several years ago. Flex, Flash, etc., Cold Fusion, to run our GoMaps websites. Now, GoMaps is our flagship GIS viewer application. It's used by a lot of organizations to provide data access and delivery to the public and the internal staff. GoMaps was built in Flex, and it looked great. It was easy to work with and it had robust features, but because it did employ Adobe Flash, the county commissioners couldn't see it on their iPads, and that was just no good. So we dove into native apps for Android and iOS, probably like a lot of you, and they solved the issue, but it was a challenge updating 2 different operating systems and running through the Apple App Approval Gauntlet for every update. This year we decided to go back to the drawing board and do it right, and we gave GoMaps a complete overhaul. It is now ready for prime time on any device, anytime, anywhere. Now I use GoMaps as an example because it has been a part of our experience in aligning with cloud solutions that make sense. But there are numerous other mobile-first products out there. One of our favorites is GeoCortex by Latitude Geographics. Many of our customers prefer that product, and we like it as well. But let's say that one of the other hats you wear as coordinator is that of GIS developer. You've developed your own robust GIS website using ArcGIS server, but now you'd like to leverage the reliability, security, and performance that you get with a cloud-based deployment. This is a great next step in building your instant enterprise. Your application, your development tools, and your database can all be migrated and managed on a GIS infrastructure in the cloud. So this is where your cloud can grow from software as a service, as we were talking about, to a platform as a service. So what is the difference between these two? Well, with software as a service, you are consuming software that is running in the cloud and it's configured for your requirements. With platform as a service, you can actually develop, test, deploy across the enterprise. Within your organization, you might have an EDN license from Esri, let's say, that allows you to develop applications with ArcGIS Server, ArcGIS Desktop, runtime, etc. You could use Amazon EC2 or Windows Azure public cloud configurations to host your development environment, and then migrate your applications that you develop to a separate production. As a cloud solution provider, we can honestly say that it really doesn't matter to us if you use our GoMaps product or if you prefer one of our competitor products like GeoCortex to ours, or if you've developed your own application that you wish to host. If it suits your instant enterprise solution, we're happy to make a place for it in your cloud. With a mobile-first method of data delivery, you've probably met most of the requests for your information from the public and your internal staff. Typically, though, you'll still be moving data up and down from the cloud to your on-premise geodatabase. With editors creating and maintaining the data on your network, you're going to be relying on geodatabase replication or FTP uploads to keep the data in the cloud up to date. Now, this method probably relies on some automation, some scripting, scheduled tasks for everything to replicate reliably. There's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, that's the standard that we use here. But until about last year, when we got a look at the much more improved Citrix XenApp product married with ArcGIS Desktop, at that point we saw how the cloud could actually become a true instant GIS enterprise. But now, as my wife likes to say to me on occasion, let's put a pin in that for a bit. So I'd like to put our GIS County coordinator on hold while we discuss a complementary scenario. We'll bring them back in a little bit later while we talk about infrastructure as a service. With this scenario, let's say you've been hired as a GIS manager by an engineering company that has offices in several cities across a region or the country. The offices each have their own private networks and utilize ArcGIS Desktop using mostly filed geodatabases for project work. The emphasis within the organization is publishing map products for engineering projects, as well as serving internal staff. You've been hired to expand the company's capacity to provide GIS services, as well as some customized development for your clients. The company's IT department does not have a strong background in or a desire to learn about supporting GIS. You also quickly realize that the offices have lots of problems sharing data and keeping it current. One office has a server where GIS data can be centralized, but to access it, you either need to use a GIS data connection over a VPN or upload files via FTP, or use remote desktop to access tools on the server for data updates. Now, you'd love to dive into building the GIS enterprise and solving everyone's issues, except that you are also tasked with staying 80% billable to clients. You need hardware, quite a bit of it actually, and because you have a distributed environment, you need it to be easy to perform software upgrades and maintenance on licensing. Remember your poll question where you asked about reducing maintenance and administration time. This is a good example. It is no longer realistic for you to pass around a shapefile or have a few file geodatabases stored on local computers. You need an SDE geodatabase with editing roles, versioning, archiving, and editor tracking. You need multiple users accessing, querying, and editing data all from one spot. As a colleague here at ROK likes to say, it's time to reconcile and post. So infrastructure as a service will provide you not only with a centralized home for all your data, but allows you that peace of mind that we've talked about in the beginning. Cloud infrastructure provides redundant backups, disaster recovery, multiple data centers, and these all work together to keep your information safe and secure. It's important in your planning for an enterprise geodatabase deployment that you design and develop the data model and define the roles of users and how the data will be used. Once we get the geodatabase into the cloud, we want to lock it down as best we can. So it's good to have all your upfront planning and design taken care of at that point. Now, it's all well and good that we are able to centralize our data and lock it down in the cloud, but how will our users in the distributed environment collaborate using this data? This is where we may recommend using Citrix's XenApp for collaboration in the cloud. But what is Citrix XenApp? Citrix XenApp enables any ArcGIS desktop to be virtualized, centralized, and managed in the cloud and instantly delivered as a service to users anywhere on any device. By deploying a virtualized ArcGIS desktop, you will automatically reduce application maintenance costs, provide security, and immediately improve performance. By virtualizing ArcGIS desktop, you access it through a web browser portal. So we go back to our mantra of any device, anytime, anywhere. If you're at home or you're at work, or even if you're fleeing a hurricane, as we occasionally have to do here in the South, you can access your application and data from your laptop, your tablet, or your desktop. And now your virtualized ArcGIS can reside on enterprise class servers with fast cores, lots of RAM, and high bandwidth. Your performance will be better than what you can achieve locally running ArcGIS. As you grow in users, it's easy to scale up, and you won't have to install anything on anyone's desktops. This goes for upgrades and patches also, so your administration time is greatly reduced right off the bat. Security is increased because your user sessions and your database are all now protected in the cloud data center. So by virtualizing your ArcGIS desktops and deploying to an enterprise geodatabase in a cloud infrastructure, you have provided a low-cost, easily manageable, and highly secure method of collaboration for your GIS staff in their distributed environment. Let me just pause here to address some of the costs. Because you may have your Esri ArcGIS licensing already, you're really just performing a migration process up to the cloud. There will most likely be some setup fees to assist you in that, as well as some nominal costs for a Citrix machine and access for your users. But typically, you could expect a minimum cost of about $400 a month to probably around $1,200 a month to move everyone in this scenario to the cloud. And that typically is a fixed price every year, contracted over 2 or 3 years. So let's pull the pin out of our County GIS coordinator and let them know that virtualized desktops will work well for their needs also. We have a couple of county clients that have taken the lead and are now not only hosting their GIS websites and databases in the cloud, but have moved to editing their parcels in a versioned environment using Citrix XenApp and ArcGIS Desktop. There were a few bumps to work through, but the overall experience for them and for ROK has been pretty exciting. Also, we have seen engineering companies caught in the scenario that we just described utilize this solution to improve their collaboration across the company. Here we see 2 quotes from such clients. On the screen, these quotes are from Habersham County, Georgia, which has moved their GIS website, their mobile field apps to the cloud, as well as their geodatabase and their virtualized desktop. They are now editing their parcel database in a version database through virtual ArcGIS desktops. Key Environmental had a distributed workforce that was sharing GIS files back and forth. Now, they too are successfully centralized in one database and using virtualized desktops with ArcGIS to collaborate successfully. Let's review the areas that we've gone over and begin to wrap up for questions. We've looked at how we can start by utilizing software as a service to host map services, mobile-first applications, and virtualized desktop software. Each of these items passed our any device, anytime, anywhere criteria for cloud-based benefits. We also looked at platform as a service, and we talked about how, as a developer within your organization, you can carve out a little piece of heaven in the cloud to develop, test, and deploy your applications. Then we talked about infrastructure as a service, which gives us the backbone of the enterprise and provides increased performance, scalability, reliability, and peace of mind by virtualizing all our servers and workstations. All of these working together for you and your organization result in your successful GIS instant enterprise deployment. I'd like to turn it over to Barbary at this time. She can take us through the questions and answers and give us a little bit more information about contacting us and so forth. Barbary?
Yeah, so we're going to leave that contact information there for you guys and encourage you to head over to rocktech.net or contact Carrie there directly. She'd love to have a conversation with you. So, Mike, it looks like we don't have to dip into the Steelers and 80s hairband trivia just yet.
Those are my areas of expertise. I was kind of hoping for something in there.
Well, you know, maybe somebody will have one, but we don't have to dip into those just yet. So let's start with one. Someone says, if we put all of our data, applications, and desktops in the cloud and decide it isn't working out, can they get it all back?
Well, actually, this would be one of the first questions you should ask of any cloud provider. I think this goes right to the heart of the flexibility of solution. Some of the large-scale public cloud providers do make it difficult to return your stuff back to your internal systems. With our Instant GIS Enterprise, that's really not the case. You know, we try and set up the contracting and the usage to your benefit, and if you need to take it back internally or share it with another cloud provider, usually it's pretty easy to do. And we can always assist you either way and make sure that deployments work wherever they reside.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. So everyone's seen it, and I know that they're excited about it. What about ArcGIS Pro? And can we benefit from that in the cloud as well?
Well, at ROK, we're currently looking at ArcGIS Pro as well. We were out at the Esri Business Partner Conference earlier in the spring and got to see it, and it's very impressive. We like it, as a lot of you probably do as well. We're pretty excited about what we see, and we feel it. You know, from what we've looked at, we feel it's going to be an ideal candidate for a cloud deployment. I have a real hard time saying those words, and virtualization, alongside of ArcMap as well. We feel that the licensing model is going to be a big improvement over using the ArcGIS Server License Manager in the cloud. We can make large-scale deployments a lot more easy and a lot more cost-effective. So, yes, we're looking to ArcGIS Pro as a real good item in the GIS Cloud basket.
Okay. And how do you manage charging your clients with bandwidth usage?
Well, you know, when we talk about the virtualization and that kind of thing, really, as you can imagine, bandwidth is going to be one of the major criteria. Most of the organizations that we've worked with have good bandwidth within their organization, so that's really all you need. Because the applications and everything are running on our enterprise class servers, the performance is based off those servers. So, you know, as you're doing that work, what's being, you know, pushed, what you're seeing through the virtual desktops is really what's reflected on the server. So that's talking about the bandwidth. Now, the cost for bandwidth, what we try and do is work with you depending on your needs and requirements and set up a fixed rate. Again, I can't talk very well. Per month, and we try and budget that out for you if you want to over 1, 2, or 3 years. So it's very consistent over time. You know exactly what you're going to be paying We don't usually, those rates don't go up and down like you would get with a public cloud, such as Amazon or Windows, Azure. So it's a pretty well fixed rate. And what we found is it's been pretty affordable and pretty popular with those that have take advantage of it.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. We've got some folks, of course, also thinking about ArcGIS Online and using that, but they don't have an ArcGIS server and wondering if the enterprise solution would make ArcGIS Online better.
Oh, sure. And we didn't talk about ArcGIS Online here much today. And for everybody from Esri that's attending, I apologize profusely. We did talk about a lot in our previous webinar, and we feel like it's a pretty well-known subject now. ROK is an ArcGIS specialty, and we can help with those needs, getting that up and going. But we also see that ArcGIS Online offers many great ways, of course, to add content to a web map, and that has its own unique advantages. We see an advantage of working with ArcGIS Server, is that you can publish data out of server right into ArcGIS Online and stream those real updates, so that other organizations can consume that information. So we find that the two work very well in hand, and if you're able to marry those two together, we find it to be a real advantage in expanded services. So that's another great example of software as a service.
Okay, so we've got someone posing a scenario for you. And they are sharing, don't you think deploying ArcGIS with XenApp sometimes poses issues for the support team? They don't really know what's causing the issues. Sometimes it's only reproducible with a particular setup. And so it doesn't occur with Esri, and so the Citrix side of things says it's a software issue. And how do you handle the Esri they're not sure it's the software, or Citrix says it's not an issue, and managing that challenging situation?
Barbary, this it's a great question. It reminds me of even back to, I've been working with Esri and ArcGIS, or Esri products, let's say, and GIS, since 1985. Yeah. And I'd say even back that far, there was always when trying to decide where the issue relied, software would say it was hardware, hardware would say it was networking, networking would say it was hardware, and so forth. Right. And you do go around a lot. And this is common. I mean, this is going to be common with just about everything that we deploy. I will give one example that we had with testing, and again, it goes back to the bandwidth. We found some early on issues that we couldn't quite pin down, and we did a lot of monitoring of the Citrix, within the organization itself and on the cloud servers to try and pin down a particular issue. And what we found was that it was an Ethernet cable was getting rattled just underneath, where the box was plugged into the jack, and we had a bad cable, and it was causing interruptions in the Citrix implementation to the point where, I mean, we were trying a lot of things, and sometimes you never think about the simple things first. Right. But once we found that and solved it, it really began to perform, above our expectations. So, again, it's just using classic methods of, problem solving, and but so far the implementations with Citrix that we've had have really gone very well. I think so far, ArcGIS seems to really work well with it. So.
Right, and I'm sure if folks are having that sort of difficulty, that you guys work closely with them to resolve all those kinds of issues.
We do. We have a good team in place, and we're dedicated to solving those issues. The one thing that we pride ourselves on at ROK is being problem solvers, and we love it like a dog chewing on a bone. So. Um,
Well, on that note, I noticed that we're really out of time for today and
okay.
appreciate everyone participating. Encourage them to keep in touch with you guys. And certainly they'll follow up with any other questions that we didn't quite have time for. So keep an eye on your inbox for an email from us or from the system, and we'll have a link to the recording as well as these website links for you, and also some other good things happening on their website. So they've got upcoming events and all kinds of goodies. So thanks again to ROK Tech for sponsoring today. Mike, thank you for coming with your expertise. It's great
Well,
to
we
have
appreciate
you.
it. We appreciate it very much.
And we'll be back with another Directions webinar tomorrow morning. And so I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. Stay safe on the stormy East Coast, and tell a friend about Directions Magazine. Have a great day, everybody.